Yeah, welcome to everyone joining us on this stream. We're just starting into some multiplayer grinding here, so we're going through the ladders, obviously. Aiming for the wooden badge. The most important badge, obviously. The three resources in this game being, you can see in the top right, of course, chocolate coins, wood, and chicken drumsticks. So wood in the place of pride. The top badge. Now, a lot of people wrongly assume, of course, that you would have gold or platinum or whatever. That actually doesn't make any sense, given the law of the universe, which I suppose maybe we'll get into if we have a bit of time. But for now, it's compared to multiplayer grinding. So I'll give you some of my strategies, I'll give you some of my pro tips, as we're playing through the game. So, the first thing that's important always is getting your build order correct. You can see I've started with the classic, double house barracks. Right, you need two houses, one for each of the units that we're going to produce. Here they come, 1 and 2. Now we're playing the orcs, classic side, classic fantasy race there. Orcs are kind of the main characters, really, of the universe. They're kind of comedy-go-lucky guys. They've all got kind of comedy British accents, oh, how's it going, mate? Cool, blimey. Oh, you're sending me over here, are you? There's a few of the classic lines that we love. And I've got this scout unit that I'm just using. It's really important to scout out the enemy base. We can see the enemy. There's some gnolls. So that's enemy one. Probably going to go down straight away. They've got 3 gnolls, but they haven't really got any economy. And so with my orcs on the way, I think we'll outnumber them. The scout unit. It's not very strong, but it has a lot of hit points, so it can really kind of tank in these engagements, even though it's not really for killing things. It's picked up a mantle of intelligence as well. They added in. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Bob Rob. They don't when they added in the item component. So yeah, in the base game, there were no items. There were no upgrades either, actually, as well. Well, not within a single fight. You would upgrade on the campaign screen between missions using points. But what they decided was that wasn't strategic enough. It's a real-time strategy game. It's not a real-time tactics game. It's not about moving your units around and micromanaging them, right? It's not about deploying abilities. It's about having the foresight to choose options that are constructive for your playstyle and your build, and so putting in the random item drops, is really kind of synergistic with that. Gunishman in the chat is asking, so the playstyle that we're using, in orcs are a mostly unit-focused playstyle, right? So, dwarves are mostly building focused. The dwarves, obviously, their construction mechanics go pretty hard in this game, right? Dwarf Fortress, really owes a lot to War. Total War, not War, Total War Warhammer 3. The kind of invention of the dwarf as a kind of like a type of exotic being with a real emphasis on construction and building. Only having builder units, and then all the strategy kind of coming out from that was really fascinating. But yeah, with the orcs are a unit focused. We tend to be mass units, right? So it's the more orcs, the better. Orcs in general are quite weak, but like I kind of said, the scout unit is very strong. Well, it's very tough, because it's the game doesn't actually have a mechanic for dodging shots, right? Now you can ask, Verisil, right? Exactly, Bob Rob. That doesn't actually. How does healing work? I just don't think about it. It's not that kind of game. Gunishment. So humans have to heal with a healer. Orcs don't get a healer. They just slowly regenerate because they're a kind of like, within the lore, they're like a fungus, right? So like the mycelia knit together. That's why there's so many of them as well, right? They spread aggressively. They're kind of unit-based. Like I said, they're kind of unit-based faction. Yeah, keep it coming. No, the stream isn't really for anything. We're not doing the Summer of Silence, like a lot of people are. Building a few more houses, for more units. We've got three more houses, so we can get 3 more units, I think. But, you know, we should probably actually think more about our economy. Shooting the shit, you know, chat the breeze. Am I gonna play Silk Song, Bob Rob? No. Basically, I'm not a fan of, you know, games with bosses in, really. It kind of goes against my, you know, ideology to fight a boss ever. You know, I think that's you know, I just really think that kind of displays like a communist sympathy of the kind that we just can't allow here, you know, on this channel. So I stick to good old, you know, worker on worker violence, right? Hanging out with, you know, pals. Now, yeah, our economy's failing a bit, so we're just going to add a few more orcs here, some more gatherers. You know, you can see that mine, basically, you know, you mine the chocolate coins out of the, you know, out of the ground. I'll get to the lore, Bob. You mine the chocolate coins out of the ground, and so the more miners, the better, right? Just it's a one-to-one relationship. Now, there's a limited number of coins in the mine because they were put there by a prehistoric civilization, right? So you don't have the capacity to build. You know, once the mine is gone, it's gone. So you just want to maximize that. Now, at the end, obviously, your gatherers, you know, they're then kind of useless. So you just sort of throw them, you just drive them into the sea to get the food back. But in the short term, you know, they mine 10 each time, so, you know, there's like 10,000 in there or some shit, so you don't think about it in those terms. And we're freeing up another mine here, so this one's guarded by wild orcs. You know, you can see they're green too, right? But they're just, you know, they're not actually a faction. Those guys we scouted earlier were a minor null faction, which we just knocked out. So that's an NPC faction. Gunishment, you know, the enemy that we're actually fighting, the human enemy. He's off to the right somewhere. You can see I've kind of scouted up to the border of his base. Now, some people will tell you should scout the actual base. I think that's a mistake, really. You know, the point of scouting is to know where your enemy are, know where their movement is, right? You know, I can see where they are, right? You know, there's 4 start positions on this map, 2 in the water, and 2 at the side. In the bottom left is the mini-map, right, everyone? So you can see that, right? There's 2 in the bottom left. A start position where I am, a mirrored start position in the top right, and then 2 in the middle right, which have the advantage of you know, because you have to cross the water to get there, that delays the game to the mid-game, and because I've identified the enemies in the top right, that's all I really need out of that. You can see my economy is very healthy right now. I think I've got like 10, maybe 20 gatherers on that chocolate mine, and we're opening up the second one here, so that's great. Now we can see we've got a lot of orcs. We've got 41 top right, it's 41 food. Out of 60, we've got 41 orcs total. So it looks like I've got about 20 soldiers and 21 gatherers on the mine. You know, I assume I'm just doing the rough math there, right? We know one number, we can deduce the other. You know, the orcs worship Gork and Mork, and in this case, I've got my hero, the hero shaman unit, Azog the Slaughterer. Who has, you know, in the lore, a necromantic crown. He's not actually naturally magical, the crown gives him the magical powers. It's a little bit racist, really, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Getting some upgrades here. You know, it's just generally good to keep you guys high. And here we go, first fight. So, you know, this is the enemy. What's he? You know, he seems to have gone Gunishment, you'll like this. He's gone full guns. Which makes sense, right, because he's playing the Space Marines, right? So the Space Marines, of course, very heavy ranged faction. I mean, they're kind of a bit, you know, they're a bit of a Mary Sue, right? They can do everything. I'm just focusing down their chapter master in the corner. It's, yeah, my scout's gonna finally dip, but I can make another scout. That's fine. My hero wizard here, you know, the orc shaman. The power of the war, he's been shooting lightning bolts, he might need to retreat. So we took out their hero, which is good. My hero's still alive, so I'm winning on that front. Kind of looks like, you know, the Space Marines did a pretty good job with their, you know, bullets are pretty effective. So yeah, there's kind of a mismatch here. Yeah, no, negative MILF Hunter 49. This is Total War Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3. not Dawn of War, Warhammer 40,000. But they're in a shared universe, so the lore to what's happening here, right, is that the orcs are native to this planet, and the Space Marines, the human faction, have come through space to conquer it, and that's why they're invading, and that's why they have guns and power suits and mechs and other kind of. We'll probably see some mechs later. There's like a late game orc mech, right? They cannibalize it. So with the power of the war, basically, if an orc, the orcs believe they can pilot a mech, they can do it. It's a will to power hero's journey thing. I don't really want to get too into that. My economy's looking so good right there. Look at all those heroes. Look at those gatherers. We're going to make up for this attack pretty straightforwardly. Now, the Space Marines have very few expensive units, whereas, again, we have lots of cheap orcs that we can just pump out, so it's not really a problem. Where, like I said, we killed their hero, so we're ahead. And what really matters, yeah, there's a lot of hero focus in this, because it's a Warhammer, right? So Warhammer is very focused on... it's really focused on the My Guys phenomenon, right? You pick an army, you do the color scheme paint. I did a pretty basic color scheme. I just painted my guys red with a skull. It's not it's not that deep. I don't look into it. But because of that, there's also the heroes, and like I said, with the earlier games, it was just statistical units. Here we go, we got the scout back. And sorry, the unit statistics are what mattered, and now we've got this mechanic with excuse me, with items. But I should probably make a few more. Maybe if I make a few more. No, that's probably enough. I think yeah, we've got a lot of, and we've got that second expansion now. We're getting even more out of the ground. So I think we really need to start pushing a little. I mean, I guess the with our economy stabilizing, you can kind of see on the minimap, right? Obviously, we've been pushed back a little, and that's okay. Like I said, the Space Marines have the early game. They've got these initially very strong units, the orcs. They start out with much more kind of rudimentary weaponry. My scout obviously has a, like a sword. So yeah, we're attacking their expansion. They've got some towers up. Oh, and so that's the famous Space Marine Steel Rain, right? That's their signature move. Their units are stationed up in space, and they have a beacon ready. Their base is surrounded by numerous beacons, allowing for multiple, simultaneous, and devastating deep strikes, which permits the Space Marines to drop directly onto your attackers, right? Which does initial shockwave damage, and on top of that, they've all got big guns. They've all got, power suits, power fists, right? There's like they're a whole tech level. From the beginning, they're a tech level above us, right? So we start in this kind of feudalistic period. We've all got axes and, swords and leather. And they're there with, this metallic stuff. And we only have the numbers advantage and the kind of speed advantage, right? Like I said, their units have to be trained in space and then deployed with the drop pods or the teleportarium. But we're catching up, right? Basically, the more units you kill, right, the more your tech level advances, which then gives you the capacity to start integrating, because it's like a looting process, right? You might see, actually, if I click on a grunt, if I click on an orc boy at some point, you'll see they've got like a looting ability, and that lets them loot, from the bodies of the Space Marines, and that's why we're leveling up our attack. So by the end of the game, our units are going to be one-to-one parity with theirs, and we're going to have more of them. So that's the kind of, it's a slow build plan. Yeah, no, it's a really cool asymmetric gameplay, Gunishment. I'm a huge fan of asymmetric gameplay. I really, I can't stand it. There we go, got Azak's back. I really can't stand it when the sides are just like the same side over and over again, right? Like, look at that economy go. I'm really confident about this one. The Age of Empires games, that was one of the problems with them. That's why Age of Mythology was such a groundbreaker, right? Because in the Age of Empires games, the sides are just the same side. They just have, it's like plus, Koreans get +5 to towers. The British, of course, get +5 to longbows. The Americans, get the Minutemen, right? Which I guess it's asymmetric, right? It's a unique unit, but it's really just a reskin of the musketeer that they can apply to villager. Probably the most unique side is the Japanese, right? Who get the the Yakuza revenge killing. They get this separate mini game on the side where you enact like a revenge thriller. It was the inspiration actually for Gonin, with Beat Takeshi, a movie I recommend everyone watch. It's a really fun, it's just a really fun flick. But broadly, there's no knights, champions, longbows, Mangodai. Every side gets the same, so it's whatever, right? Whereas this, like I said, you can really see the asymmetry. Not only with the resource mechanics and the unit deployment mechanics and the types of heroes, right? Like I've got a shaman on like a warg kind of thing, right? Azak, he hasn't got his wyvern yet in the gameplay plot, and they've got this chapter master like Gabriel, who's kind of got a he's got a melter gun that he's firing off at me. You can see the fireballs. Yeah, we're still being kind of chased. We're on the back foot a bit. It's looking pretty dicey. This guy's pretty good. I think I checked his name out earlier. It was weird. It just kind of said computer. I think that's just I think it's like a crossplay thing. I'm obviously on the Switch 2, right? Which very impressive that the Switch 2 can handle this game. Total War 3. Sorry, War Total War colon Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3. Sorry, there's so many games in this franchise. I start to, but yeah, it's a very, yeah, exactly. It's a thanks Melf Hunter. It's a very modern title. So the Switch really an incredibly, but anyway, a cross-play with someone on the computer. So I think their username isn't showing up because of that reason. Or maybe they've got something weird, right? They've just put like spacebar characters. That's the kind of gaming culture that people love to see on the computer, that we love to be part of. It's really I'm always happy to engage with the memes, whatever that is. But I'm using my name, my Christian name, Ery, just for similar reasons as what I said about Silksong, right? Yeah, so we've unlocked the next tech tree, the next tier list, right? We can start summoning some kind of orc beasts, right? Orcs have a lot of access to beasts, right? But again, they're the indigenous species to the planet. The Space Marines are the ones who have come, through a kind of like cosmic, chaotic portal to invade us. No, Space Marines are well. So no, so the lore people are you're confused in the chat, everybody. Within the Warhammer universe, we're on the Fantasy Battle planet, which exists within the 40,000 universe. It's not Earth. It looks like Earth. I know there's a lot of similarities, right? I know that the Germany is, kind of in the middle, right? And then to the south, you've got, zombie Egypt. And to the east, you've got Chin, right? And that huge mountain range. I appreciate it roughly. Obviously, yes. People are chiming in that North America is where the torture elves live, right? The treatlers. Right. It's a thinly veiled parody. It's classic British comedy. It's thinly veiled parody, but it's not actually Earth, right? In the Warhammer 40,000 universe, Earth is Earth. Well, they call it Terra. Like terror, terror, yeah, very funny, everyone. No, it's Terra, but within that universe, you can travel through space to the Fantasy Battle universe. It's just a planet, right? But what's kind of occurring is that magic is so powerful. This is why my strategy is magic centric, right? That's why I got my shaman Azak first, because magic is so powerful they can overcome, guns, right? And so even though the Space Marines have all their tech, I mean, our looting is really powerful, right? Like I said, that loot meter's been filling up from all the pillaging we've been doing, the killing so my units now. There's no visual changes. It's not Age of Mythology, right? Age of Mythology, of course. Every time you upgrade a unit, there's a visual signifier, right? as you increase your armor, they get shinier armor. When you buy a shield, a physical shield appears, right? But, you know, it's not Age of Mythology ever... Exactly, MILF Hunter 49. What game is Age of Mythology? Age of Mythology is Age of Mythology, and even not all of Age of Mythology is Age of Mythology, right? Like, you know, the remakes aren't Age of Mythology, right? There's only actually 2 Age of Mythology games. So it doesn't have all of that, but mechanically under the hood, my units are about as strong as theirs now, which means, you know, we should be able to kind of... The battle should really be turning in our favour, right? You know, 1 for 1, we can go up against them. Here's that... no, that's not actually... Sorry, I thought for a second that was their Chapter Master Hero unit. You see I'm outnumbered here. Now, I did say, obviously, the Orcs are a numbers-based faction, so I've kind of been outplayed a bit here, you know, by letting myself get outnumbered. You know, we take the good with the bad, right? I'm replenishing these losses straight away. I think, you know, it looks bad, but I think we have it, and the reason I think that is just that like I said, every one of their losses hurts so much more than one of my losses, right? Because their units are so much stronger and more expensive. So, you know, we've already... Yeah, thanks, Bob. We've already replaced some of my guys. I've already got reinforcements. You know, when this oh, he's trying to do like he's trying to escape. He's trying to reverse jetpack up there, but I think my wizard caught him. But, you know, we've already replaced these losses, and when this guy goes down, that's going to be really bad for them. It's not a hero unit technically, but it's like you know, it's a very expensive unit. Azag doing, you know, empowering my scout there. There's like a combo. In the lore, it's because you know, they have like an unbreakable bond. There was a tie-in manga, you know, by Mokomoko-en, about how after Azag, you know, puts on the necromantic crown and resurrects the scout from the dead, you know, they have like a very... Well, I don't want to spoil it for you. You should just read the manga, you know, period. Now, you know, so we're kind of recovering. Let's get the economy back on track. So, people are... Oh, hang on, sorry, I'm just getting a text. Oh, well, you guys will be happy to know it's everyone's favorite. Yeah, I see everyone, you know, I see the chat popping off. It's everyone's favorite moment of the stream, so I'm gonna take a moment to focus on the economy and to recover my, you know, most of my war machine for a bit, and I'll turn you over to tonight's guest. Same, you know, who are we guesting tonight? Same guest as every night, Pinky. It's our Countess.
I have come to warn you, my son. You are now undefended at home. They want to teach you a lesson for standing against them. Destroy the temples and followers of the greater ones. Do well. Goodbye, my friends.
Yeah, incredible stuff as always, Countess. I know that was abrupt, everyone. He had to go. He's actually... Well, he won't mind me telling you... Well, he will mind me telling you this, but he's got a hard day with an undead minotaur. So... we're fingers crossed, you know. Can we get some dubs in chat for our Countess? Some GLHFs. Not too much fun. Yeah, well, you know, Payla, the man's a mole. But yeah, so yeah, looks like we're taking pretty good care of this forward outpost. So yeah, so the Space Marine structures struggle because they are they have to produce these using local resources. Only the original central base is deployed from space, but like, again, it's like a lore thing. Now that they're here, they're cut off from the Imperium, so they're making everything local resources. So that's why the Orcs can destroy Space Marine buildings. Oh yeah, you can see my economy worked out really well. So, you know, we totally ate every coin in that mine. So we're gonna redeploy a couple of these peasants to a new one, and then most of the rest to the second mine, the first expansion, right? So, you know, again, 10 gatherers of mine. Yeah, welcome, Thysox. This is yeah, you know, it's great. So it's always great to have a fourth viewer. Yeah, no, this is Total War Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3. Yeah, like yeah, you could call it that. You could call it like a war crafting game, right? Oh no, you mean World of Warcraft? No, no. So no, I can see your confusion, right? Because we're playing the orcs. But no, World of Warcraft is like a derivative. I mean, they well, no, that's not fair. Everyone copied Tolkien's homework. Warhammer copied Tolkien, Warcraft copied Warhammer. But Warcraft is we're fighting this fellow computer. Well, sorry, we're fighting this fellow who's on the computer. I'm on the Switch too. Um, but no, Warcraft is a gacha game. It's one of those sort of you have to keep paying to play. Right, every month they make you pay another $100, and then they give you a bunch of cool new skins for your blood elves or your whatever's. Um, and you level them up. You collect more skins to level up the characters. That's I got a lot of friends who play those games. I think they're really cool to hear about. You can kind of see in the corner there, by the way, my economy at this new mine already booming. 10 gatherers. As which is about the optimum number. I mean, more is, like I said, more is always better, but 10 is realistically enough, right? I mean, I only have 70. 70 is the maximum population you can have in this game, so 3 mines, 10 gatherers a mine, 30 gatherers, right? 30 population. That's about half, which is usually right for these sorts of things. What was I saying? Yeah, so World of Warcraft is a gacha game where you collect characters and level them up. This is a strategy game, right? This is a sort of it's really important in this game to think about your kind of like your upgrade paths, you build orders. There's no you buy it once and it has everything contained within it. Which is that's how games used to be when I was a kid. Which is why games that are like that are the best types of game. I couldn't imagine a Warhammer game where they charge you individually for every single faction, right? Every single unit, for abilities, for fucking blood texture effects. What's fucking next? I mean, this kind of garbage is it's killing gaming. And I'm so glad that Warhammer Total War Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3 doesn't engage in that kind of nonsense. I think if it did, it would be a terrible game, right? I mean, like, I've got hundreds of hours in this game. It's pure intelligence. It's a battle of wits. It's head to head. If someone had 100+ hours in a game like that, I think they're a fucking loser. Yeah, there was a real-time strategy. Well, no, not really. There's a real-time strategy tie-in to World of Warcraft, that's StarCraft. So like how this is, this is a Warhammer Fantasy Battle game, which is within the Warhammer 40,000 science fiction universe. Again, they copied their homework. StarCraft is a real-time strategy game set in the gacha universe of World of Warcraft, but it's set 10,000 years into the future, and the character, it's like a whole different set of characters, but it's the same like species. But there are guns, and it's a strategy game. I've won. This guy isn't surrendering. But I don't see how he can come back from this. Like I said, so he could deploy units. If this is one thing that we don't know, right? We don't know how many resources he still has, and so he could still have units being trained or in storage on board the Litany of Fury, which is orbiting the planet. And when it comes back around from the past, he'll then drop those. Yeah, the deep strike beacons I think are gone. Rob. Right, everyone's chiming in. Right, the deep strike beacons are gone. But because I'm in their base, it's not a deep strike. It's just a deployment, so they could still drop pod us. So we're just keeping an eye out for that. But I think, like I said, now we're in the late stage of the game, right? Our armies are maxed out. Right? We've looted all the Space Marine gear, so now I have the numbers advantage and you know, the strength advantage. Yeah, let's boost that economy. There we go. So 3 plus 7. That's 10. It's not necessary, but it's a good habit. Punishment. You know, if when you practice real time strategy games as much as I do, when you're as good at them as I am, you just start doing these things automatically, right? I could do it on my sleep. You know, you could put this game in front of me, you could put a Nintendo Switch 2 in my hands, and I would hear the audio cues of this game. I'd hear, hello, 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 what's all this then? And I'd just immediately start, you know, assigning 10 laborers to a mine one. And yeah, there we go. So, okay, I need to stretch. I need to microwave some tea. I mean, I'm getting a little sleepy actually. You can probably hear it in my voice. You know, I do have to be up early for that surgery tomorrow. Yeah, for the beams punishment. Still really, you know, we're gonna have to take it. Yeah, so we're getting like a low level. You know, it's a low intensity device. You know, it could probably flash fry a squirrel. There are a lot of those near my house. I don't think it could really. It might annoy a coyote. I mean, I would never fire a beam at a coyote anyway. You know, not in this economy. But just like, you know, just hypothetically speaking, which should then. I mean, sorry, if it could fry a squirrel, yeah, I think I would need to have captured and consumed, you know, maybe a raccoon, maybe something this size, you know, like a young deer, like a fawn or something. Pick on something my own size. I've often been compared to a fawn in my manner of movement. I think in terms of my overall proportion, you know, with the limbs and the torso. So I actually do think that's, well, I mean, a deer has a powerful kick. MILF Hunter 49. I mean, yes. Well, okay, I'm gonna get my tea. Alright, there we go. What was I saying? What's chat saying now? You can't pause a multiplayer game. I can. Well, for one thing, I'm doing this for fun. But also I just think it's the real world. I think you can grow up and handle it. And I think, well, apparently at least one person in chat couldn't. But I mean, I don't know, right? I think three's company. It's the optimum number of viewers. Thanks, MilFunner49. I really appreciate it. I can't. I've got to wrap this up. But yeah, no, he's dragging it out. It's a BM maneuver, really. We're not going to GG him, but I've won.